All right, guys, today on the REI Deal Finders podcast, we have an incredible marketing. I call him a genius because he just made all my stuff look dumb. We talked about how do you get away from relying on prehistoric marketing channels like mail and cold calling and get into today's marketing channel and using those segments to accelerate your business. This guy was hanging out with Grant Cardone, and we talk a little bit about the shot of energy he gave him, and we go all the way down to what verbiage do you use in your online marketing channels. So you guys want to stay tuned to this. This is Drew Carrell coming straight from leadzolo.com.
You're listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast, where you'll learn actionable steps to help you find your first or next real estate deal. We'll deep dive into current strategies and show you how to become a deal finder in your market today.
All right, guys, this is Andrew from the Real Estate Deal Finders podcast, and I am so excited that you're here right now. We're going to jump right in now and talk about real action and finding deals in real estate. So we've got Drew Carrell from leadzolo.com, and this man he's a lead magnet. He's the one that goes and finds the leads that lead to the deals. So Drew, thanks for being here, man. We are so excited to have you.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you so much for having me on. I'm totally pumped to be here.
So last time we talked, you got to interview me. Now it's my turn to dive in on your business. And I just everybody knows, if you're not watching this, if you're just listening, I have my pen and paper out. You should do the same, because we are going to get that down deep into some marketing and some lead gen. But before we get there, this is interesting. This is unique. Most people that come on this podcast are real estate investors, because that's our network. That's the people we hang out with or whatever. But doesn't mean that everybody who's around real estate business is actually buying and selling all the time. You are an ancillary business that's right here with us. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is that you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I really focus on is marketing. So I definitely came up with a passion for marketing. I got into the digital marketing agency space, some years ago, and now I have a business partner, and we really focus on that. And what we're good at doing is identifying kind of opportunities, whether it be an underutilized marketing channel, whether it be an industry that's, in our mind, kind of using prehistoric marketing methods or strategies. And so that we can kind of like paint or not paint on, but kind of add to the industry or the channel in terms of bringing other ideas over. I think that that's super important. And I think that it's really the best way to capitalize on anything is by kind of look at like, where is the blue ocean in this industry? So specifically for real estate investors and wholesalers, we come from the YouTube side of things, where we run YouTube ads for people who have webinar funnels and call funnels selling digital info products. And we looked at the real estate investing space and the wholesaling space and went, man, what we do over here on the info product space, we could take those strategies and implement them in the real estate investing and wholesaling space and give profound results to these guys, because what you guys were doing in terms of marketing and lead acquisition in our perspective was prehistoric. Like the idea that people were cold calling or texting or sending out mailers, we're looking around going, oh my gosh, like we were very ignorant at the time to the entire industry. And so we're just like, oh man, these guys are losing all kinds of money doing this stuff. In retrospect, now coming into the space, certainly what we were able to add and are continually to add to it is proving to be quite valuable. But we're also learning a lot. Like, hey, guess what? Mailers still work. Cold calling still works.
Yeah.
So we're blessed to kind of have our eyes open to that, but we were also ratified in terms of going, what we can do in terms of bringing something new over to an older industry. Not that REI is old, but in kind of the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at like the info product space and the online space or digital marketing space, is a pretty old industry when you're looking at it in that way. So that's what we do. Definitely where we've had most success in our businesses is kind of zigging where everybody else is zagging. And I think we found a nice little pocket here in the REI and wholesaling space for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you called all of my marketing methods prehistoric. And everyone that's listening, they've got pitchforks now. They're like, what? This is
Love
what we
it.
do. So before we hit record, we were talking about, I was, kind of going through what deal finders means and how we've changed people's lives by just getting them to open their eyes and thinking a little different and seeing what's around them. And I kind of asked, I was like, I think this transcends every business where, whether you're selling cars, selling houses, selling Cutco knives, which is where I started in college, the first thing out of training that they tell you to do is go talk to your mom, your friends, your neighbors, your cousins, aunts and uncles, whatever it is. Get the people in your sphere, in your network, tell them what you're doing and ask them if they want to buy, right? Ask them if they need your service. That is the very first thing that you're told in pretty much all sales industry. So the question was, is that the same? Is that kind of how you got started?
Yeah, and the answer is absolutely. And I think you're really onto something there, and I think that it's really overlooked. And I think most things when they're said ad nauseum tend to get overlooked over time, and people are kind of miss the point that like this is said so frequently and so often because it is so important.
Yeah.
I just spent last week. I was blessed to spend 2 days in Miami with Grant Cardone at Cardone Enterprises, and I'm telling you that was a life-changing 48 hours. That's for sure. Just being in proximity with everybody I was with. But one of the big things that I took away from that was Grant was talking about like the 5 pillars of businesses, and like the number one pillar is promote. Like you need to spend every waking moment of your life promoting your business, regardless of what it is. And what that means is talking to the people that you know and letting them know that you're in business, and more specifically, being so intimate with your business that you are so well aware of exactly what pain do you get people out of, and just constantly be talking about that and going, this is the pain I relieve people from. This is the pain I relieve people from. And if you tell enough people that, they're going to know somebody in pain that you can help them with. And then to kind of tag along onto that, I got watching Undercover Billionaire, which is a show that Grant was in. Yeah. And it was great because what it was he got everything taken away from him, and he got to go to this small town where he didn't know anybody and make $1 million business in 90 days or something like that.
Yeah.
I won't spoil the show, but what the first thing Grant did was he drove into that town and found the very first business he could find. It was an RV dealership, and he made friends with the owner. And that was his only goal, was I need to make friends with as many people as possible for the first month that I'm here, because you can't start a business without a network of people around you that you can pull talent from, but most importantly, that you can sell to. So it's just, for me, it was just like, man, like he's just driving this message home that like, we don't start like that. We don't start in a town where we don't know anybody. Nobody starts a business like that. You're starting a business with family, with friends, with a LinkedIn 500 connections and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and whatever, right? We all have such a network that we just totally underutilize, and we look over all the time. And I just genuinely, after watching that and being in business myself, and I'm sure yourself, like anybody can grow a 6-figure business without ever having to talk about TV ads or even Google ads or Facebook ads. We all have a network that we should be leaning on.
Absolutely. That hits it home right there. And that's what we're trying to tell everybody. The students that we talk to, we give them tips and strategies and kind of help with the words of it all. But it's just the mindset that it is there. Your business is right around you. Or you wouldn't have a business at all. Like, people wouldn't be doing this if there was an opportunity. One thing you mentioned about Grant in that show is he found that RV dealer. But, he went there not trying to sell him because he didn't have anything to sell. He just went to serve the guy and say, what do you need help with? What can I help you with? And then the next guy, mattress dealer, maybe something.
Yeah, and the gym owner. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, how can I help you? What can I help you do? Let me help you sell some mattresses. And if you do more today than you did yesterday, let's talk about business, right? Like, that is the premise of going out and trying to serve somebody, knowing what pain you can alleviate and going out there and helping people. That's all we do all day, right? That's what we try to teach in real estate is if you can go help someone, tell someone how you can help someone else, the word's going to get around. That's how you grow a business. So
I totally agree. And I think that even that, right? Like it's so simple for us to say, but like, let's look at how this has been generalized and actually beat up this concept. And it's like, if you know anything about the digital marketing space, you've heard of things like lead magnets. And like, okay, so what's a lead magnet? Oh, you go and you just have somebody write this checklist or whatever. And it's something that people can get for free in exchange for their email. And then you could market to them for the rest of their life and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, great. But we just skipped over and fast forwarded through the most important part, which was create something of value that you can hand and offer to people. That is the first step of business, is exactly what you're saying. Create value and serve. Like I'll, just to throw it out here now, like if your absolute specialty is helping people who are in foreclosure, and you know more than anybody in your area about foreclosure and how you can help these people and blah, 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 why don't you hold a monthly seminar in your town, a meetup, a whatever, an online virtual event? Who cares? And it's like, here are the top 6 things you can do to I don't know, to not lose your home when going through foreclosure, or how to make the best of the situation when you're going through foreclosure. And you make this with an open heart to serve, and you'll get 100 people there, and 80 of them will be super thankful. 10 of them will have been glazed over and just there for the donuts. And another 10 of them might actually ask you for help. And what better way to grow a business?
Absolutely. I love that. And guys, I hope if you heard this and you're trying to figure out what to do, how to get leads, that was one right there. Write that down and go do it. So, I this might be a tangent, but please tell me a little bit more about this time with Grant Cardone, because I didn't know you were there and I'm super jealous. I would love to be in a room where he's just, it's like literally probably I feel like you're getting a shot of adrenaline straight from Grant Cardone just to be around him, right? And motivation and just drive.
You sure are, yeah. And the context couldn't have been better. So the reason we were there was because Grant's putting on a large event at the end of January. It's going to be a virtual event. It's called the Unbreakable Business System. So it'll be I believe it's 7, it might be 9-day long virtual event. He'll have all kinds of guests. And what he's doing is he's teaching, what is an unbreakable business system? What does it take to have a business unbreakable? Like Grant's been through, I don't remember the numbers. He's always got all kinds of grandiose numbers, but Grant's been through 3 or 4 recessions and has never had one negative year. Every year has been a year-over-year growth in all of his companies for for the last 30 years. So what he's putting together is this massive event to teach people this system that he has for building and leveraging companies. And it was great. So I'm in this room with some of like the biggest influencers in the world, right? That's why they're there, because Grant wants all of them to leverage all of their audiences and stuff like that to bring them to Grant's event at the end of January. And the point of the mastermind was for us to strategize, how do we get the most people to this event? How do we serve the most with Grant and things like that? So the context couldn't have been better if you want to walk away inspired for your business, because that's what we were prepping an event around, was how to inspire over 1 million people. That's the goal, is to inspire over 1 million people to have an unbreakable business in the way that Grant does. And it was mind boggling. It really takes you from, I can be in my little world and be super tunnel visioned into what my problems are and what my issues are. But when you take a step back and you look at somebody who's mastered a craft like business and sales, and he's going, I'm going to teach it in 5 modules, like it takes years to get to a point of automaticity, whatever, and being able to simplify such major concepts like that. And he just stood there for hours at a time, just going like deep and passionately into these topics about business and what it takes and all this kind of stuff. And it was beyond inspiring. And I was there, like I said, with a few of the big names, even in this industry, like Pace Morby was there. Definitely got to spend some time with him and Jamil and some other big names. So it was really exciting.
That's incredible. Yeah. So, keep an eye out. I'd love to hear, and keep an eye out for that. I mean, it's funny because I was just talking to someone else about Grant and just the how he's spreading out, right? It's like you said earlier, just promote. But when you get to that point, it's almost like he's out there. He has to find something new because he has promoted so much. He's so much success coming in and people coming to him. He's like going out into other industries that he's never been in before. But it's like, well, I got to do something because we've crushed this industry, but we've got all this capital. We got all these people that want to work with us, for us, whatever. So, okay, let's just start taking over air conditioning companies, right? Let's just start taking that industry over. So it's just part of those 5 pillars he was talking about. You know, when you start at the beginning with promote, you only die when people don't know about you, right? So,
absolutely.
That's awesome, dude. We could talk all day about that. I'd sit here and just love to hear it. But let's talk a little bit about what you're doing, because you're not a wholesaler, but you're serving wholesalers. And the really cool thing about talking to people like you is, for me, like a wholesaler and investor, I'm on the front lines. Like I see, you know, we get leads and we talk to sellers. Well, you get to see kind of the back end of what people are searching for. How do they get to my website? How do they get to others' website, and what triggers that lead to reach out? Because honestly, I don't know. Like, why do they fill out my form online? It's probably not because of my picture on the website, right? There's probably something there. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, let's get in on what you're doing for wholesalers and investors.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting for me coming into this industry and being, ignorant to the entire industry, literally 12 months ago, right? So not having a clue other than me thinking that like there's an issue, there's a gap in this industry. Because from the outside looking in, my gosh, it's really easy to find a successful investor or wholesaler. You just look for the guy with the biggest pain tolerance. That's it, right? Because you guys, like from the outside looking in, it's just like, man, they're just in an uphill battle. Like they're fighting realtors for leads. They're basically going, hey, a realtor can get you this. I can get you a quarter of that or a half of that if you're lucky. If you want to do business with me. And it's just like, man, talk about like you're just walking into every conversation with the worst value prop in the world. Obviously, it's not that simplistic, but from the outside looking in, like that's how I was looking at it. So in my mind was, okay, so I have, I get to lean on the brilliance of Google and Google's AI. I've got a lot of experience with Google Ads and YouTube and how this stuff works and targeting and messaging and all this stuff, right? Like I've just spent years learning how to convince people to spend $5,000 on a course on how to trade Forex. Like there's got to be some sort of overlay here. And so we were looking at things and really diving in. It's just like, wow, like the marketing strategy for investors is a shotgun approach. Just get your message out to as many people as possible. It's a numbers game. Enough people, like there's going to be enough people coming back willing to take these lower offers and we can do something with it. And our thought was, okay, so what if we just did this opposite? What if we like cherry picked? What if we talked to some of the most successful investors and go, if you could only have 2 conversations today, who would those 2 people, what would those 2 people's situation be? So if you only got to have 2 conversations today with 2 different sellers, what situation would those 2 people be in that would be best for you as an investor? And so it was kind of interesting. So it's like, okay, so I'm not worried. I'm not targeting zip codes or like average income of zip codes, because that's a way of targeting things, right? Don't look at like male, female, and age and all this kind of stuff. Think about, okay, let's think situational. Who are the people, basically, who are the most distressed people willing to take a discount on their property and be very, very happy with that situation? Like there's got to be another motive, right? So the motive introduced is time. So it's like, okay, so in what situation are people in where time is more painful than money? So they're willing to decrease time for money, right? And now we can go write a list of that. And now I know this is what you guys think about all the time, but we were trying to think about in terms of marketing. Like, how do we think about it?
Right.
Okay, so like people going through foreclosure, great. People inheriting a home, okay, interesting. People going through a divorce were a very, very big one that we learned very early on. So we're like, interesting. So I can find now, right? So asking all these questions before worrying about marketing channel or how to target them, but figure it out perfect first, and then reverse engineer, right? Okay, so I know somebody going through a divorce is a great person I want to talk to, or even better, I know this client is great. Sub 2 is kind of their big thing. Who's the perfect person for a sub 2? Military, right? So if you were looking to do a subject 2, an ideal person to talk to with somebody who's in the military, who spent 2 years at a base and just got redeployed, because now they're going to have to sell a home after 2 years where they have no equity in it, and they're going to lose money on realtor fees. Great opportunity to pitch sub 2. So now how do we reverse engineer that? Okay, so what's that person looking for? Well, that person's probably Googling how to sell a home on a base, or how to sell a house without any equity without losing money, or things like that. So now we can start getting a lot more rich, right? Or how about somebody, what to do with my house while going through a divorce, how to enforce a prenup, right? So these are things that people who have assets and are worried about their assets and might be more inclined to take a discount on price for a value increase or a shorter amount of time for a sale. So now we're able to kind of look at it that way. And then we start, then messaging comes in, right? Because then it's not how to get a cash offer for your home. Everybody says how to have a cash offer for your home. That's not a value prop, right? A value prop is, what if I could get you cash for your home in the next 10 days, right? Ooh, that's a little more sexy, right? What if I can get you out of foreclosure? Ominous, right? But intriguing, especially if you're in pre-foreclosure, right? And so on and so forth. What if you saw an ad that said how to deal with your mother's hoarder home, right? Yeah. Now, very different than I'll give you a cash offer on your house, right?
Absolutely.
Very different if I just inherited this hoarder house 3 states over. I'm not worried. My top of my mind isn't who's going to give me cash for that home. Top of my mind is, what the heck do I do with the hoarder house 2 states away that's got $3,000 of back taxes, and I work 6 days a week trying to raise my 3 children, barely making paycheck to paycheck, right? Yeah. I don't need somebody, a bandit sign saying I give you cash for your home isn't getting my attention. What's getting my attention is somebody specifically talking to my pain point. So
wow. So I'm you hit a lot right there, but I wrote this down because we have a lot of people, especially in the words you're saying, the vocabulary you use is marketing, right? Marketing terms and strategies and stuff. And so you said value prop. I just want to make sure it's value proposition.
Correct.
And you were kind of going on that. Can we stop right there and do that again? You said cash for house. That's not a value proposition. We'll buy your mom's hoarder house. That's a value proposition. Why is that different for people because if you don't get marketing at all, that it sounds the same, right? Cash for houses might sound better. Why is that different?
Right. And I'll iterate a little bit to make it a little bit more of a value prop. I think I might have lost the plot when I got there a little bit. But yeah, if I were to say, I'll give you cash for your home, or if I were to say, or if you had an advertisement or something, and the advertisement was how to make money on your inherited hoarder house, right? Or how not to lose or how to get out of debt with your inherited hoarder house, right? Yeah. Which is playing to my current pain. So I'll give you cash for your home. First off, just think about the verbiage there, right? It's not my home. Technically and legally, it's my home. I did inherit it, but I'm not thinking of it as my home, right? So already just the verbiage in that marketing statement didn't immediately click. Not to say that it means I'll never click on it. It just means now the likelihood's even less. And now it's just like, well, I don't really care about cash either. Like it's not a I need 80 grand in my pocket right now. It's every single month I'm paying taxes on a property that I never wanted and somebody else just forced upon me, right? So now it's not about I need a cash out. It's not my home. Okay, so but if the value prop was how to stop bleeding money with your hoarder house 2 states away, or how to capitalize or how to make money with the hoarder house that you've recently inherited, right? That's a value proposition. I'm proposing some sort of value. I can give you value. Where when I'm saying I can give you cash for your home, I'm assuming that has value to you. right? And so you can kind of see the difference. One's a lot more thought out than the other.
Right. And I love the delineation, and what I'm seeing, and you probably see the same thing, is the cash for houses verbiage that comes from the bandit sign. It comes from the shotgun method. It comes from the postcards that or the billboard that goes to everyone, because cash for house, like, cash is an eye catcher, right? People see the word cash, they see dollar signs, like they read the sign.
Yeah.
But if not likely is it going to affect them so that they're going to think to call you, right?
Yes.
That shotgun method is, if they are literally have their phone in their hand thinking, how do I sell mama's crappy house? Oh, wait, what does that sign say? Cash for houses. Well, sure, maybe I'll dial. Like, it's trying to get people at the right moment. That's the shotgun method. That's why we send 4 postcards to the same person in a matter of 8 months, right? It's like, man, we gotta catch them. We think maybe they're gonna sell one day, so let's try to get them at the right moment. You're totally different because you're targeting differently. So you're doing it online, right?
Yes. So
how are you doing that?
YouTube is our YouTube's my main platform that I run most of my money on. Like, we spent like $25 million in the last 3 years on the Google Ads platform. So that's between YouTube and Google Ads. I would say 75 to 80% of that was on YouTube. So it's just kind of our comfort zone is YouTube. We just know it so well. We got really, really good at it because it's a platform that's been around forever, but not everybody's into, because there's a little bit of a higher barrier to entry. Facebook ads, you can just grab an image and write up some coffee and have an ad up in 15 minutes. Where YouTube, like, you got to create a video. Maybe you've got to hire some actors. You've definitely got to write some scripts. You need it professionally edited. So that's definitely where we focus on that. And then it's about knowing your platform and knowing your verbiage. And I think that this could actually even be a bigger conversation than just platform, but kind of like you were saying, like with your postcards and stuff like that, like, we want to be making sure we're using the verbiage that our sellers are using and not verbiage that we're using. And that's a really big thing for people to understand. A perfect example would be, we were talking about sub 2 a second ago. So I'll loop it back to a story about that. The current client we had, and he came to me not too long ago, and he's just like, man, I've pitched sub 2 probably 18 times in the last month. Not one person's gone for it. I'm like, wow, really? Like, crazy. Because obviously I see the leads that he's working and stuff like that. He's just like, I'm like, so what do you, like, how are you positioning the sub 2? And he goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you, like, what are the words you're saying to the seller? And you go, and he goes, oh, well, I tell them that I can sub 2 them, which means that they'll be handing their mortgage over to me, and they'll be good. They'll be off the hook for the mortgage. And I'm just like, so you said the word sub 2 to the seller? And he goes,
I'm laughing because I get it, but there's gonna be a lot of people that listen to this that are like, what do you mean? And it's, you're explaining it, but I'm laughing because I can see it right now.
We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there, right? It's like, oh, I learned a fancy term. Fancy term doesn't mean a darn thing to the seller, right? You're just talking, you're now talking banker lingo, like way to like build anti-rapport with somebody so quickly, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So things like that, like if you have a strategy, make it something interesting, call it something that people immediately understand, and even like make it something kind of sounds proprietary or like a unique mechanism. Like, call it, what about, hey, you know what would be perfect for you right now, Andrew, given the situation? I know you just bought that house 2 years ago. You're getting deployed, so you don't have any equity in the house. You're going to lose money if you're going to sell it to a realtor. You know what we have here at Lead Zolo is we can do the sell and save program. You know what that means, Andrew? Is that you can actually save yourself the burdening costs of realtor fees if you commit to the sell and save program with me. You know what I'm going to do is let's talk about details. When can we meet up next week? Right? Like, what a very different way to position something than hey, how will we do a sub 2 where basically you're gonna give me the deed to your home and I'm gonna give you nothing.
And it's called sub 2.
Yeah. Ooh. So,
guys, I've got to highlight this, and I got to tell people if they're listening to rewind, go back, write this down. This is literally like where we started. It's the stuff that we hear most frequently that gets glossed over, and we don't do it. This is like marketing 101: is you don't use industry jargon with your sellers or your clients because they don't understand it. You just don't do that. You have to talk to them, to your sellers, to your clients in their space, right? What's important to them, which is what you said, like getting out of the hoarder house or not losing money on selling, right? The words sub 2 should never come out of your mouth. Never. But it happens. It happens all the time. And that is a complete disconnect between you as a potential buyer and that seller, and you're never going to close that deal. So this is like marketing 101. Write that down, guys. I love how you put that. And it's something that it doesn't get talked about enough because it's marketing 101, right? So the marketing guys like you're so smart, you know all the things to do. You're not going to talk about that basic stuff. And then the folks that are getting started, well, they don't have anybody to teach them that basic stuff, right? Yep. So unfortunately, it ends up happening to somebody who was your client who obviously was doing pretty well, right? I mean, it's not like he was not doing deals. So this is something that new people and experienced people have challenge with. So just know that, write that down, guys. I love it. So you're targeting on YouTube and Facebook, and I do want to give we've given a lot of information, a lot of tactics and strategies. Can we give our listeners the easiest online, like the easiest to get started online marketing channel? Because a lot of people, bandit signs are so simple, right? They just go out there and write it on the sign. Postcards a little bit more expensive, but not hard to do, right? And so what would be that online thing that people usually could get started with, like if they wanted to get an online presence today?
Yeah. That's hard to answer. And so the reason it's hard to answer is that there's just so many layers to it. So if you just wanted a quick online presence, and that's what's important, make a Google My Business and make a Facebook page. Those are the two most important things in the world. For any other reason than reviews drive the economy. So even if you've never done a wholesale deal before in your life, go get a Google My Business. So the day you do make your first deal, you can contact that seller and ask them to leave you a review, and you start building it. It's not anything that's going to matter in the first year, but Andrew, as your reputation is everything, and it might taking you 30 years to build, but now it's just an engine that just doesn't stop. So I would focus on that.
That's perfect. I mean, a challenging question, but you answered it exactly. I didn't even think about that, but that is absolutely primary. Number one, and you probably know the answer to this, is the Google phrase, realtor near me or fried chicken near me, whatever it is. The near me is primary now with Google searches. So the Google My Business page and some sort of address in your market space is huge. And people, again, this is one of those things people just don't know. And if you're listening to this, you don't have a Google My Business page, go start one right now. And then of course, Facebook page. You should have one like in the next 10 minutes.
The real key to any business these days, because everything is online, is be a human. And it's just, again, it goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning of this. It's the simple things that everybody keeps overlooking these days. And if you can just prove that you're an actual human being and you're a contributing member of your society, that goes so much further than anything else these days.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's so many charlatans and so many people hiding behind the mask of anonymity online and never having to put themselves out there and be vulnerable. So be vulnerable, be a part of your community, and you'll get a ton of business.
Yes. I love it. Hey, Drew, this has been amazing. We could sit here for another hour or two. I know we could, and dive into this stuff, but you're helping a lot of investors with their marketing, their lead generation. If someone wanted to reach out to you, where would they find you? What would be the best way to get you?
Yeah, go to leadsolo.com. You'll learn a little bit about our YouTube leads there, but you can always book a call just on that form. And like I said, we're definitely offering PPC now as well as YouTube. Just for anybody who's interested, we're so passionate about inbound leads and generating inbound leads that we are pricing our PPC now so that it's actually cheaper than hiring cold callers. So something to be aware of. But yeah, go to the website, fill out a form, talk to one of my guys. Super friendly. You know, we're just here to make sure that everybody's doing the best, making the best decisions they can make to make the greatest impact they can make. So, you know, we're never here to try and sell anybody or anything like that. We're just here to help out. So.
I love it. I love it. Drew, this has been awesome, guys. This has been the Deal Finders podcast, where we are here to help you find deals and learn strategies to go get deals. So listen, if you're thinking about getting started, or you're already out there getting started finding deals, then open your eyes, look in your neighborhood, and be a human. Just like Drew said, be a human, be someone that can help your neighbors, and you will start finding deals. They'll start coming to you. All right. So until the next time, we'll see you. Bye.